Police are squabbling with protesters. Oh, there we go. And they just breached the Capitol again.
The Capitol breach. Insurrection 2021. A bunch of boomers let in by the police to cause some chaos and mayhem in the Capitol. As you can clearly see, back on January 6th of 2020, a group of people dressed in MAGA gear were let into the Capitol. You can see it again here. We'll replay the first one.
Police are squabbling with protesters. Oh, there we go. And they just breached the Capitol again.
Now here's a different angle from a different part.
Oh my God! Oh no!
Yeah. So again, I have no idea who gave the orders. I don't know who gave the orders for these understaffed police to just let people storm the Capitol building. You know, a building that should probably be one of the most guarded and secured buildings in this entire country. Again, I'm not sure who exactly gave the orders to let these people in, but clearly they were let in by police. The proof is in the pudding, guys. It's not my theory. It's not my opinion. It's not just common sense. It's literally caught on tape. Multiple angles, different locations.
Police are squabbling with protesters. Oh, there we go. And they just breached the Capitol again.
Oh my God! Oh no!
So yeah, this violent, angry mob of right-wing terrorists just walked obediently through the velvet stanchions. As you can see here on this picture, not destroying anything of real value. You know, all the Tartarian architecture and ancient statues. None of those were toppled or torn down or spray painted on or burnt. You know, no fires started inside the Capitol. But all of these quote-unquote violent right-wing terrorists seem to take a lot of pictures of themselves. A lot of pictures, a lot of video of themselves. Nobody had any sort of firearm in sight at all. I've yet to see one picture of anyone with any sort of gun inside of the Capitol for tens of minutes before all being corralled outside of the building. Some trash was left, some windows and bookcases were broken, lots of pictures were taken, and words were yelled. But really nothing that bad at all seemed to have happened if you use your own eyes and your own brain. Some optics games, convenient cameras and video pictures, some bookshelves, some glass broken, some loud noises, some angry faces, and that's about it. No weapons, no fires, no graffiti, nothing like what you'd see in Black Lives Matter protest. And we'll play this clip here.
These photos show the damage inside the U.S. Capitol after pro-Trump rioters stormed the building.
Damn, overturned furniture, that sucks. Damn, not trash on the ground, come on. Broken glass. Not the painting. More trash? What? Oh my.
Yeah. Liberty Zero says worst insurrection ever. Yes, worst insurrection ever. No guns, no fires, no bombs, no actual graffiti, nothing. Just some trash. We'll play this clip again. Just some trash. That's it. Some trash, some broken glass. Oh my gosh. How horrible. How horrible.
These photos show the damage inside the U.S. Capitol after pro-Trump rioters stormed the building.
Damn, overturned furniture. That sucks. Damn, not trash on the ground. Come on. Broken glass. Not the painting. More trash? What? Oh my.
So yeah, of course, the screens are lying to us. The children of the lie are lying to us and trying to justify what they want to do to us. Those in the fallen state are trying to destroy the good, the true, and the beautiful. And Satan is busy. Oh yes, Satan is busy trying to demoralize you. as always. As always. Yeah. Make sure to stay within the velvet ropes when you violently insurrect the Capitol. Yeah, all you people with just a red hat on. Nothing real, no actual gear, just holding American flags and wearing a red hat. Yes, of course. Not a false flag at all. Totally not just for optics at all. Yeah. It's all so tiresome. So, of course, everyone's talking about this. How hypocritical. Obviously, they're hypocrites, guys. They're hypocrites. Of course, they're hypocrites. They don't care. They don't have morals. They don't have principles. They just want to win. Of course, they're hypocritical. Of course, they're going to gaslight you. They just spent 4 years screaming about a fake election, a rigged election, and spent the last year burning down cities and killing police officers. Screaming, F the police and defund the police and all cops are bastards. ACAB, you know, all cops, all of them, bastards. And now, of course, now that they're planning on assuming power next week, now they are saying that the elections aren't rigged at all, ever. It wouldn't be possible to rig an election. How dare you question it? The police need to crack down on violent thugs and prevent protests from taking place. That violence is not acceptable at all. Got to maintain law and order now. Got to maintain law and order. Of course they are being hypocrites and attempting to gaslight us. Of course. They are evil and wicked people. Like, what do you expect? What do you expect from those types of people? They don't have principles. They don't have morals. They just want to win. They just want victory, and they just want control over us. They are seeking to win at all costs, and they are willing to change their stances and their opinions in a second, in a heartbeat, if it helps them demoralize you or control you. And they'll gaslight you into submission. They don't care. They don't care. They don't care about being right. They care about being in control. They care about winning. They care about victory. But I will play this because this has been floating around and it's just a good one to just kind of solidify that point. So, yeah.
I just don't even know why there aren't uprisings all over the country, and maybe there will be.
People need to start taking to the streets. This is a dictator.
You know, there needs to be unrest in the streets for as long as there's unrest in our lives.
Enemies of the state.
Show me where it says that protests are supposed to be polite and peaceful.
Do something about your dad's immigration practices, you feckless.
When they go low, we kick them.
How do you resist the temptation to run up and wring her neck?
The biggest terror threat in this country is white men, most of them radicalized up to the right.
I thought he should have punched him in the face. I said, even if you lost, he insulted your wife.
Yes.
He came down the escalator and called Mexicans rapists and murderers. He said, well, what do you think I should have done? I said, I think you should have punched him in the face, and then gotten out of the race. You would have been a hero.
I'd like to punch him in the face. I said if we were in high school, I'd take him behind the gym and beat the hell out of him.
Punch some people in the face!
When was the last time an actor assassinated a president?
They're still going to have to go out and put a bullet in Donald Trump, and that's a fact.
Look, as his character is stabbed to death.
Where is John Wilkes Booth when you need him?
I have thought an awful lot about blowing up the White House.
A Missouri state senator is under investigation by the Secret Service after saying she hopes President Trump is assassinated.
I will go and take Trump out tonight.
And if you see anybody from that cabinet in a restaurant, in a department store, at a gasoline station, you get out and you create a crowd. And you push back on them. And you tell them they're not welcome anymore, anywhere.
And sadly, the domestic enemies to our voting system and our honoring our Constitution are right at 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue.
They're not going to stop before Election Day in November, and they're not going to stop after Election Day. And that should be, everyone should take note of that on both levels, that this isn't, they're not going to let up, and they should not.
If you think we're rallying now, you ain't seen nothing yet.
How dare these white people with their red hats on walk calmly in between velvet stanchions into the Capitol and destroy some bookcases and and take pictures sitting in the seat of a sitting politician. How dare they? They need to be cracked down on. Yeah, it's like, spare me. Spare me. But those who are blind, those who are blinded by their sins and lost in their own wicked ways, who have evil in their heart and can't see the reality before them as a result, of course, those people will fall victim to the lies, the tricks, the schemes, the gaslighting, and the hypocrisy. Of course. They constantly seek to keep you divided, distracted, emotionally unstable, and spiritually distant from God, so that they can rule over you, and they seek to make you comply with nonsense and agree to their inverted reality. They are evil and wicked people, and they will always seek to get you to agree with them, get you to comply with them, to join them, or be destroyed by them. Refuse to give in. Reject their offers and their threats. Recognize their schemes and their tricks, and be close enough to God and follow His right ways, wearing His armor at all times, so that you may be able to fight them off. Otherwise, you'll just be yelling at screens. And unable to see this. Unable to see how we just spent months having our communities burned to the ground and gaslit into submission about how violence and protesting and screaming and shouting and angry mobs were justice and, solutions, and how now that, boomers in red hats walking through velvet ropes is somehow terrorism. Of course, guys, this whole thing was a setup. Of course they're hypocrites. Of course they're evil and immoral people, and they want you silenced and angry and scared and confused. But don't be. The key is don't be. Choose not to be. Overcome it all and refuse to give in to their calls to be demoralized. And we'll get to this more. Thanks again, chat, showing up. Liberty Zero, my dude, thank you for showing up. I have an episode coming out. I didn't record it with Liberty Zero. I recorded it with Cotton, but it's a good little episode coming out on the Dissecting Liberty podcast channel in a few weeks. Sadly, those guys are calling it quits on their podcast, but you can catch Liberty sometime in the future. I think April or May. I'm going to be having Liberty and Cotton on my live stream again, so you can catch those guys. But thank you, my dude, for showing up in the chat today. Set Vacantis, as always, my dude, keep it real. Thank you. Keep me in check. Keep adding your insights. He says, "Viva la Velvet Rope Revolution, bigots." Viva la Velvet Rope Revolution. X-tag politics or else. Is that the new rule on D-Live? Yeah. Christopher, Andy Adam, thank you guys for showing up. Yeah. So, I'm going to rant a little bit. Get ready or skip ahead. These quote-unquote rioters and quote-unquote terrorists that supposedly stormed the Capitol last week, they had no weapons. They attacked nobody. They destroyed no meaningful property. But they sure did take a lot of pictures. Oh yes, they sure did take a lot of pictures. This whole thing was a silly event by stupid boomers and immoral LARPers. Just useful idiots being used by wicked people to justify the evil that they want to push on the rest of us. And we'll get into it. There were some infiltrators as well. Some instigators and infiltrators in there as well. But it was mostly just boomers and LARPers, angry, didn't know how to react, couldn't contain themselves, couldn't control themselves, and let their emotions get the best of them. That whole day was staged. The whole event, maybe not the particulars of it, but the whole day was staged, as evidenced by the police just letting all of them in. We are watching a scripted theatrical play right now. We always have been. Politics is just scripted theater. And you know that is true deep down. Even if you're lost in it, even if you're dug deep on one side or the other and you hate one side or the other, you know that this is all fake. You know that this is all just world wrestling, WWE wrestling, professional wrestling, for the ruling class to trick the ruled class into submission and compliance. You know that's true deep down. You know that is true deep down. But it is very entertaining. And it's so believed by all of those people around you, or by you for a long period of your life, that it is hard for you and for us to admit it or even speak that out loud. It is much easier to just go along and play along to just watch the crowd or comment on the happenings to those watching the movie with you. After this whole quote-unquote insurrection went down, notice how they didn't spend a whole lot of time sweeping the Capitol building that was just stormed by quote-unquote violent terrorists. They just kind of like opened it back up an hour or two later, and they brought all of the highest ranking politicians in our nation just back in the building to give some speeches and vote on an important matter. No double or triple checking every square inch for hiding people or planted bombs. They just brought the congressman back in to deliver speeches, very emotional, passionate speeches that seemed to be pre-written and pre-rehearsed. Joe Biden, just minutes after the insurrection, is giving a obviously pre-written speech about exactly the events that just took place. Just an hour or two ago, these guys were supposedly hiding and scared for their safety. And then they just waltzed right back in front of the cameras to give emotional, passionate, detailed speeches and cast votes to certify an obviously highly contested election. Whether it was a rigged election or not, it is perceived that way. It is a highly contested election, whether it is rigged or not. No guns, no bombs, no physical violence by these protesters or insurrectionists or terrorists or whatever you want to label them. Boomer waffin. Just people dressed up in animal furs and animal horns and face paint and MAGA clothes and American flags, walking politely through velvet ropes, breaking some windows, leaving without much of a fight, in a building that should be one of the most secured and protected in the nation. The symbol of power for this government, one that should have been locked down and thoroughly inspected before allowing the most supposedly powerful people back in to give their speeches and cast their votes. Politics is really just theater for the slave class. Remember that. Politics is just theater for the slave class.